Hey Rockstar, Lauren Moraski, Manager of Community Programs and Partnerships at ROX here, reporting from the lower level of my home. The other women at ROX and I felt it was important to connect with you about something we've been hearing quite a bit about in the news and on social media, and something that I know is very top of mind for many of you. That something is the Netflix documentary, This Social Dilemma. Now, I watched the film earlier last week, and if you're anything like me, you had a pretty strong reaction to it. It left you feeling a certain way about technology, and maybe you had some feelings about your own cell phone. Feelings maybe something like this, or like this, or maybe even like this. Yes, I was feeling a strong kind of way afterwards. But after I got over my initial shock, had time to kind of simmer down and take some perspective and put my ROX hat on, I started to feel pretty hopeful about everything. And as you're working diligently to support the girls in your schools and in your communities, in their digital lives, and also helping to support the adults who care about those girls, we thought we really wanted to connect with you and share some of those hopeful reflections with you. And so first, when I thought about the film and with a clear mind, I thought, a lot of what we saw in there wasn't anything new or things that we really already didn't know about. So we know that kids are distracted by their notifications in class, and it's a pretty big issue. We know that the more time girls spend on social media and technology, the more likely she is to report feelings of sadness and depression. However, there were a few things that were issues that were raised or concerns that were raised in the film that were pretty scary. So, are there fundamental issues with technology and social media? Perhaps. But just like anything that maybe we think needs to change, we know that these things and these fundamental issues aren't going to change overnight. So, as much as we might feel compelled to pull the plug on social media and technology, we have to recognize that it's not going away. And the silver lining that I see in all of this is that you are a licensed ROX facilitator and an expert in girls. You have a unique and specialized training and experience in working with girls and helping them navigate social media. You have the skills and ability to support the girls in their digital lives and also have the same abilities to support those adults that care about them. So you can uniquely educate the teachers, staff members, administrators, coaches, mentors, grandparents on what we know are best practices for working with and communicating with girls about social media and technology, while also building and maintaining a strong relationship and connectedness with girls. With that being said, we want to offer you a very quick refresher on some of the things you already know about girls and social media, but we hope that this gives you some extra confidence. So to get us started, and one of the fundamental thoughts around social media and working with girls is that we know that how adults communicate with girls about technology and their social media usage has the ability to make or break that relationship with the girl. So when I think about this film and the fear that it has created, one of my biggest concerns is that this will negatively impact the ways in which adults are speaking with girls about social media. I think there's the potential for social media to feel very black or white, and that it will essentially become villainized as this evil thing or the undoing of our society. I mean, at one point, somebody in the movie was actually talking about civil war, which is a pretty scary thought. And so we have to be careful of taking this perspective. Unlike adults, girls don't know a time before social media, and social media is an integral part of how they're connecting with their peers, building relationships, and connecting with the world around them. And when things go awry online, we want girls to come to us with those issues. We want to be the ones that are helping them when things get tricky. And so when we approach social media from this villainized perspective, a judgmental perspective, we diminish their experiences with social media. What we do is we actually widen the gap between us and girls, make communication all the more difficult, and we shut ourselves out of that space of her lives because we've showed her that we really don't get it and we really don't care to understand or get it. And so instead, we need to take a curious perspective with social media. And instead of saying, oh my gosh, why are you on Snapchat so much? Or haven't you turned off your notifications? Don't you know that's how they get you addicted to technology? We need to instead say things like, wow, I see that you're spending a lot of time on that app. I don't know too much about it. Can you tell me about why you like it or how to use it or what some of the cool features are? While she might roll her eyes and seem annoyed with you, what you have done is open the door of communication about technology and social media. We also know that we want to keep girls safe on social media. And one of the primary ways we typically do that is through monitoring. And I think monitoring is important and has a place. And so as the adults, we have the responsibility to know who our girls are communicating with, what apps they're using, and how much time they're spending on their social media. However, we know that an important quality of a strong relationship and good communication is trust. And so there needs to be trust between us and the girl when it comes to social media, technology, and how that's being monitored. If we think about having an app on our phone that allows us to see every message that comes through that girl's phone or her apps, and that we're able to see all those messages without her knowing, that doesn't do a lot to help build that trust. I mean, think about what that would feel like if your mom was watching your messages with your friends or maybe even your crush. That doesn't feel very good. And so instead, we need to think about monitoring in a transparent way. So what that means is having conversations about what the expectations and the rules are around technology and having her be a part of that conversation. So she knows the phone goes in the basket at a certain time of the night. She knows that you have the ability to log into any of her apps because you know the passwords and you have to follow her on all of those apps and platforms. So there really aren't any sneaky surprises. However, what we know is that when girls are being watched or monitored, she might get more sneaky or figure out the workaround, or that as much as we are monitoring, it might be impossible for us to really know everything that she's getting into. Maybe she doesn't share her Finsta information with us. We know in our data that 61% of girls say parents rarely to never monitor their social media. And when we talk to parents, they think they're doing a pretty good job. And so I think that 61% has to do with the fact that while parents think they're doing a good job, girls are just maybe a little bit sneakier, or they're into things that the adults don't necessarily know need to be monitored. So we can't just rely on monitoring, and instead we must teach our girls skills. And those skills are the exact same skills they need to have in real life. So the ability to set boundaries, use an assertive voice, understand coercion and manipulation, know when to turn to a trusted adult, how to healthily communicate with friends, what to do if you are finding yourself in a situation where girl bullying is going on. Our girls also need to feel that their internal qualities are just as valuable, if not more valuable, than their external qualities. And these are all things that we teach in ROX, all things that you're already skilled at. Now, while we don't believe it's important for you to be on every social media platform and actively using all of them, we do think it's very important for you to have an awareness of what girls are using and how they're engaging with one another. And so the best way for you to do this is, again, going back to being curious, just asking them, what is that? I don't know too much about that. Or what's your favorite app these days? I feel like it's always changing. We also think it's really important for adults to be having conversations with girls about the film, open conversations, and that those conversations aren't led by our own opinions, judgments, values that we feel around the documentary. So we have to be careful about starting that conversation like such. Oh my goodness, I saw this girl and she was like getting bullied and they were making fun of her online and she was getting depressed over time. Is that happening for you? Or they showed this boy and he just got addicted to his technology and he became radicalized. Is that happening among your friends? Instead, we need to think about saying, I just saw this documentary. This is what I learned. What do you think about that? And you actually might be surprised by what she has to say. Lastly, I also think that the psychologist that was highlighted in the film made a really good point about how to set limits around technology usage and the value in talking to our kids or girls about what they think is realistic time. Because again, when we ask them, we might be surprised to hear what their answer is. From a ROX perspective, I know that this is really important because when we think about building confidence in girls, it's important that she feels that her opinion matters and is valued, and that she has the ability to make decisions and be a part of choices that are happening in her lives. And so engaging her in that conversation does just that. It makes her input feel valuable and that it matters and that it's respected. And isn't really that all that we want in ROX? So I hope that this overview was helpful to you. Again, things you already know, but it can never hurt to get a good refresher. And as you confidently approach this new school year, we want to remind you that the ROX Institute for Research and Training is here to provide the adults who care about girls with relevant and timely resources to best support the girls in their lives. Over the past couple of months, we've been offering a series of live webinars via the Institute that we then offer to folks on demand to view from our Institute webpage that you can see here on the screen. I'd like to direct your attention to one particular webinar that I think is very timely and relevant to this topic and is a resource that you might consider sharing with parents, other staff members, administrators, you name it. So Lisa recently recorded Snap, Sex, Selfies, Self-Esteem, the Social Media Landscape for Girls. So this is a hour-long webinar that will provide those adults with concrete ideas and strategies for helping girls healthily and confidently navigate their digital world. So thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today. I hope you guys are having you ladies are having a fantastic start to your school year amongst all the craziness. Remember, we're here for you, and we're going to look forward to providing you more resources like this in the future. So thanks for your time, and you ROX.